Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
With all the new capabilities and abilities and strong points that a blockchain brings to the table, this technology could be disruptive to quite a few of the industries we know, quite a few of the businesses we know. A disruptive technology is one which enters into a new field with different capabilities and completely changes the way we transact business in that area. So, for existing companies, it could be a serious threat to the way they do business, because here is this new technology which can upend the whole way, the way the customers look at it, the providers look at it. So, let us look at one small hypothetical example. It does not exist as of now, but we can conceive such a thing possible. It is in the area of credit cards. Today, credit cards are an expensive affair. You have to apply for one, and you have to go through a qualification process. You have to maintain a minimum amount of billing. There would be annual maintenance charges, and per transaction, the credit card companies, whether they be Visa, MasterCard or whichever, they charge a hefty fee to the merchants ranging from 2 to 5%. So, the whole process is, it takes time, effort and lot of money, and they do bring benefits though. If I have a international credit card, I can use it anywhere I want. I can use it in Zimbabwe, I can use it in Belgium, just that many of us do not need all those capabilities. We just need it for sometimes. There are those international travelers who use those capabilities. They provide you free launch access and things like that. For many of us, we use it for day to day mundane purchases, make our monthly bills and similar normal expenses for which we may not need all these capabilities. It is also possible that if we do travel, we travel to the same place again and again. So, in all these cases, the total capabilities that are brought in by an existing credit card company like Visa or MasterCard, it may be an overkill, but we are paying for that. So, let us see how that business in a hypothetical case could be completely disrupted by blockchain. Let us take an example. I am the card holder here. I go to a merchant, buy something, present my card. When I present my card, that point of sale terminal that the merchant has, where they stick the card in and take my PIN number, it goes to the merchant's bank. My bank could be HDFC Bank, that could be SBI. It goes to SBI. The merchant's bank makes a request to the Visa company, the credit card company, which could be Visa, MasterCard, Diners or American Express or something like that. The credit card company goes to the bank which issued me the credit card, in which case this is HDFC Bank, and verifies, have you issued the card this fellow? Yes, yes you have. Is it valid? Is it in good standing? What is the credit limit? Does this purchase come under credit limit? So, a bunch of checks are made. Based on that, my bank responds to the Visa company, says yes, authorize that. The credit card company goes to the merchant's bank, which tells the merchant accept the card. So, merchant takes my PIN, accepts the card and the sale is complete. And what happens in the back end? In the back end, the merchant, once the transaction is complete, he or she sends the transaction data to their bank. I sold so much, say I am filling up petrol to my car. We sold petrol worth 2000 rupees on such and such a date, and various details like that, and the card number was so and so, the magnetic strip was read and PIN number was entered correctly. The bank takes that and presents the data to the credit card company, Visa or MasterCard. They send it to the bank which issued me the card, that is HDFC Bank in this case. That bank accumulates all this over a period of a month, sends me a monthly statement. Meanwhile, the credit card company, as soon as the transaction is done, debits the account of my bank, not necessarily to me, to my bank, and at the same time takes that money which they are charged to my bank, cuts its commission and various charges, pays it to the merchant's bank, and the merchant's bank levies its charges and posts the balance of the amount in the merchant's account. Once a month, my bank, after accumulating all the transactions, sends me a statement saying that these are the purchases you have made for this month and this is how much you want to pay, monthly minimum, total amount and things like that. So, and I make my payment and it closes the entire cycle. Now, consider a situation, as I said, these credit cards may be internationally valid. Consider a situation where there are a group of customers for a bank who travel to one particular location, they have very limited requirements, they want their credit card to be valid only in where they live and where they travel. There are certain situations like that. For example, look at the diamond cutting industry. It is focused in only 3 or 4 places in the world, Surat in India being one of them, Israel being one, Antwerp being one, and Manhattan in New York. So, let us take the case of a bank, a local bank, say like Karnataka Bank for example. Now, the customers of Karnataka Bank are all in Surat, they typically travel to New York 3 times, 4 times, 5 times a year, that is all their requirement. So, they want their credit card to be valid here and valid in New York where they travel, not necessary to make the whole card valid in Zimbabwe or Singapore or wherever it is. So, now for these customers, if Karnataka Bank has to go through the Visa, the credit card companies like Visa, MasterCard, it costs a lot of money for them to set up also. So, instead of that, for a very limited purpose, they can sign up with a local bank in the New York area. For example, like Karnataka Bank here, which also is heavily locally focused in certain areas, there is also a bank in New York called Dime Bank, and Karnataka Bank can sign up an agreement with Dime Bank. Dime Bank has about 30-40 branches in the Manhattan area mostly. So, these two banks can sign up a deal between themselves without going to a central party like Visa or MasterCard and say that okay, let both of us sign an agreement, we will set up this blockchain here. Whenever our customers charge in Manhattan, you can make an entry. Whenever your customers charge within India, we will make an entry. That way at any point both of us know what are the transactions done by our customers, and we can have the customers validate. If a customer of Karnataka Bank visits Manhattan and buys some items and charges them to his card, Dime Bank makes an entry and that customer will validate that. So, that way we have mined and added blocks here, there is no incentive, the customers have to validate, that is it, done. So, at any point Karnataka Bank knows what are the transactions done by its customers, Dime Bank knows what are the transactions done by its customers and Karnataka Bank's customers, and likewise for Karnataka Bank, and each customer can always go to the blockchain and verify what are the transactions they have done. We do not have to go to a third party at all, it is completely open, the transactions are validated by the right people, the security is taken care of by hashing and encryption, and once a month they settle. You can follow the same process without the intervention of a third party, third trusting party. This blockchain makes it open and all the transactions are visible. We have cut down the cost and we have solved a problem specifically for our customers. A limited set of problems are solved and they are happy. Everybody is happy, costs are lower, transactions are done faster. So, you can see that now blockchain is offering a completely new business model, a very special locally valid credit card. Now, credit cards are universally valid because the credit card companies are universal in their scope, not necessary. We have offered a very localized credit card specially tailored for our customers, valid at only certain places. So, that way if all the banks do, it can up and completely disrupt the existing credit card business industry, credit card industry, and it is a new business model which will work for 2 small banks. The whole credit card business, whether it is Visa, MasterCard, may not be interested in this small group of customers, but they are important to these 2 small banks. So, they can offer a very special localized solution. So, this is a hypothetical example, but such a thing is entirely possible, which can completely disrupt the credit card business. It is a completely new different business model. So, that is a potential of blockchain. Only the new technologies it brings in, the safety, security, the traceability, trust, all these factors can end up in coming up. So, there are a lot of businesses, we will see how much of research work and venture business is going on in this area, that blockchains can change whole new way of doing business. It can change entire businesses as we know today, it can create new business. We will see some examples of that. And this potential has been recognized, this potential of blockchain to be a very disruptive technology. the technology company called Gartner, it evaluates various technologies over their life cycle. They have come up with a very nice concept called the technology hype cycle. It has been observed that whenever a new technology enters into the market, there will be an innovation, somebody comes up with something new, and early adopters, people who are into technologies, into new things, start adopting. They start adopting this new technology, they start evangelizing, they were telling others. Like in case of blockchain, it started with Bitcoin. Some early adopters adopted Bitcoin, discovered the virtues of Bitcoin, and they made it very popular. They spread the word about that. So, after an innovation trigger, once the trigger happens, the next phase is that everybody starts discovering, they start talking about it, they think that this technology can do wonders, it can do everything. Many times it is driven more by hype and hope rather than the experience of people who have used it. Gartner calls this phase as peak of inflated expectations, and this was the hype cycle in 2016 for emerging technologies. And the next phase, when everybody rushes in, everybody tries to apply this tool for every activity, every business problem, people discover that it does not do everything as advertised. There are certain things a blockchain is good for, certain things it is not good for. There will be a lot of disillusionment when everybody rushes in. Remember the cartoon which I presented earlier, this consultant comes and presents blockchain as a solution for every problem. We will discover at this phase that it is not a solution for every problem. It does things, but not necessarily everything. So, at that phase, Gartner calls it as trough of disillusionment. That is, we went with a lot of hype, a lot of hope, we are finding it is not so. Once we get through this stage, slowly over a period of time, slowly we start discovering that it is good for certain things, and we start applying for those certain things. When it starts returning, it becomes very productive, the technology becomes very productive, the tool becomes very productive for certain users and almost gets embedded in the business, and Gartner calls that as the slope of enlightenment. So, once we apply the technology to the most appropriate problems, it becomes productive and starts returning all the investment we have made in. That phase is called plateau of productivity. It has become highly, and at point it becomes stable. It is only for these technologies we are going to use anything in these solve problems that we are going to use anything, and for those problems this technology is the right solution. In 2016, they had identified blockchain as almost approaching the peak. The hype was so much that everybody was rushing in to check what blockchain can do, and it was approaching the highest amount of hype. Where are we? We are 3 years away from now. In 2018, the same assessment carried out by the same company, it had put blockchain on the way down, on the trough of disillusionment. Now, most of the hype is gone, but people are discovering that yes, it is a good solution for these problems. There are so many solutions where we thought it was a problem, it may not. It has been observed that pretty much all innovative technologies go through this adoption cycle. They come with a lot of innovation, outsized expectations, disillusionment, enlightenment, and we use it very productively. So, within 2 years, blockchain has moved from the peak of expectations, inflated expectations, to disillusionment, but shortly we will be moving. There are a lot of initiatives across the world, in lot of innovation happening within blockchain itself, which will make blockchain very suitable for certain kind of problems where it is going to be a highly productive solution for those problems. So, as we can see, the technology cycle is coming through, and as a corollary, lot of startups are coming. This is a study done about 2 years back. It shows where all blockchain startups have come. I am personally aware of a blockchain startup which is trying to do banking with cryptocurrency. How do we use cryptocurrencies as collateral? Today we know when we have to go to the bank, we are dealing with a giant organization. They will ask us to fill so many forms and so many collateral, they will ask for a collateral, this, that and everything. My requirement may not be that much. My requirement may be like the equivalent of $1,000, 70,000 rupees. So, can I borrow it from another person? P2P banking. Blockchain makes such a thing possible. I am aware of a bank which is doing precisely that. It enables two different people with their assets in cyber currencies accept cyber currency, cryptocurrency as a collateral and lend small amounts and make it worthwhile. For a big bank, such a transaction is not worthwhile. They want to deal with big numbers. for a blockchain based startup, it is a worthwhile transaction. You will have millions of startups, which makes up the numbers. So, with ideas like this, blockchain startups are there coming up all over the world, and this map shows where all they have come. The darker the color in this map, more startups. So, as you can see, US is the center of the blockchain industry, it is the darkest color. There are countries in Europe like Sweden, Britain, France, Germany, where a number of startups are coming up. India and China are two major centers of blockchain startups. A lot of companies coming up trying to leverage blockchain in various areas. China also is a very big center for Bitcoin mining. We will see later, due to various peculiar factors that are specific to that country, Bitcoin mining is quite profitable in China. They are coming up in Russia, they are coming up in South Africa, they are coming up in Kenya, they are coming up in Nigeria, Ivory Coast. You look in the most unexpected of places, blockchain startups are coming. So, phenomenon, and it is only getting more and more popular and widespread. And earlier I mentioned where all blockchain can make a change, you can see that startups are coming up in every sector of business. They are trying to leverage this capability to change the way of doing business, make businesses more efficient in pretty much every sector. The biggest chunk, as expected, is in finance and insurance. 42% of all startups at that time were in finance and insurance. Information and communication, what is called ICE or ICT, has the second biggest chunk, 36%. Professional services like legal services, business consulting, financial services, they are the next big chunk. They are being used in arts, entertainment and recreation. There are startups coming up in how do we distribute music and recover costs transparently using blockchain. It is coming in public services like government. There are huge efforts to leverage blockchain in governance, e-governance. How do we digitize our documents? How do we make them available at a lower cost? They are in retail, venture capital, energy, real estate activities, transportation, education, healthcare. You name the segment of industry, blockchain is being tried as a solution there. When there is innovation, it needs funding, and the venture capitalist is today the most common and popular means of funding. And this again 3 years back, this data is slightly dated. This is the amount of funding which is going. The numbers are much more now today. They have multiplied manifold, and you can see that venture capital funding is going into every sector, and there are startups in every sector. The biggest, as expected, is in information communication, finance and insurance. Within the financial sector itself, some areas are more amenable to leveraging a blockchain, some are not necessarily, but all of them are there. The biggest chunk is financial exchanges and trading. As the example we considered in the earlier part of this lecture, talked how they can make a big difference in terms of doing foreign exchange transactions, how it can make it faster, clearer and more efficient. So, that chunk has the biggest number of startups. Payment processing, many of the examples I have taken are from the credit card industry, which is a payments industry. So, that is the second biggest one. Financial services, payment asset network, wallet and ATM, crowdfunding. This is another area which is coming up a lot. Blockchain, as you can see, public blockchains, given the nature that they are open and they establish trust transparently, crowdfunding is ideally suited for leveraging a blockchain. So, a lot of startups are coming in crowdfunding too. Rewards, mining, supply chain, compliance, identity, all the way into gaming. Gaming and clearing settlement also has seen startups within the financial sector. This is a simple table taken from one of the examples. It has given an example of all the finance and banking companies which are trying out various initiatives to use blockchain. One example I mentioned in the morning, the company JP Morgan Chase has introduced its own cryptocurrency, JP Morgan coin, and within a platform called Quorum, which is valid with only their ecosystem, and we will see a little more of that in the examples lecture. But this gives you an idea of what are the companies which are involved. All the famous names we can think of: Barclays, Citibank, Union Bank of Switzerland, Goldman Sachs, Bank of New York, NASDAQ, the exchange, American Express, IBM, Intel, everybody is trying their hand. In fact, this table unfortunately does not include the biggest player. JP Morgan Chase is the biggest player in the blockchain universe. It has a number of initiatives with various platforms to leverage to make their businesses simpler, faster, more efficient, more profitable, things like that. Interestingly, the first data you see here is a credit card company. It is actually a credit card processing company. Even they are trying how to incorporate blockchain into their activities. IBM, the technology company, is developing its own version of blockchain as an open source software platform for use as the backbone of a collaborative network sponsored by the Linux Foundation. That platform we are going to see later as a Hyperledger platform. IBM is a key contributor. We will also see two solid examples where IBM is trying to leverage blockchain in areas like logistics and supply chain management. In business schools, blockchain are increasingly playing a big part. We all teach finance, we also teach technology. So, these two fields have merged into become fintech, and blockchain is a key component of financial technology or fintech. So, we use it as to teach blockchains. Students are making a lot of projects, they are doing a lot of projects within the blockchain, how to leverage blockchain. I will give a small example after this, and a lot of research is going on. One major area where a lot of work is going on is how to make the blockchains interoperate. Today, for example, Bitcoin blockchain has no interaction with the Ethereum unless you have a third party working in between. How do we transparently make the two work with each other? A lot of research is going on in interoperability. These are some of the courses we are offering at various places, and where there are projects happening in e-commerce. How there are various aggregation models for e-commerce. Blockchain probably can revolutionize that model. When we say aggregation, we are talking of companies which aggregate services like Uber, like Oyo, like Ola. Blockchains may be a significant game changer in that industry. Payment systems we have seen, credit card industries can completely be upended, especially for micro payments. One of the key elements of blockchain is that the cost of transaction is so low. As the example of P2P bank shows, even loans of $100 to $200 are worthwhile, they can be done on a blockchain. The costs are not that high, and cost of transaction is low, public services can be monetized. Crowdfunding. In crowdfunding, key challenge is how do we trust with whom we are entrusting our investment, and blockchains can deliver. They can create trust among various related parties. Lot of projects are going on in e-governance. How do we automate access to land records? In the morning earlier I gave the example of how difficult it is to get an ownership document today. The efforts have to go. With blockchain, we might be able to reduce it to a very simple, painless activity at a very low cost. This was one of the projects that some of the students did. With the spread of automobiles in the country and the spread of highways, now people are driving every more. It is no more something that we go to the market and come back. We are traveling all over the place. I know many people who travel across the country. They have driven from Mysore to Ladakh. In a case like that, if your vehicle breaks down anywhere, you need to be able to transparently get good quality service from some trusted mechanic. So, what is the solution? We can set up a network of mechanics using a blockchain, but these mechanics have never seen us. They do not know who we are. We should be able to trust that they have delivered the service, and they should be able to trust if I am driving to Bengal from Mysore and my car breaks down in Madhya Pradesh, some mid-sized city like Jabalpur, how do I go to a trusted mechanic, and how does the mechanic trust that I am going to pay through my company? The solution is we can use blockchain for that. I can set up a company which runs this blockchain, where I sign up various automobile users as their members, and I also sign up providers, the mechanics across the country as members. And so, the key is to provide automotive maintenance as a subscription. Every year I pay 5,000, wherever I travel I can get service at a lower cost, reliability and availability by developing a network of independent auto shops. They are not related, they are not same company, different independent mechanics are part of my chain. It will provide roadside assistance beyond a certain radius. I can travel anywhere, I will get service across the country outside the home base. The key challenge is how to bring in independent auto shops. Like my car may break down in Jabalpur, I go to the approved mechanic, I have never seen him and probably I will never see him again. He also may not get another customer, but he should he needs an assurance that if he works on my car, he will get paid for a possible one-off service. Who are the members, who are the stakeholders in the system? Obviously mechanics, mechanics in my area where my car is, where my company is, mechanics remotely, and vehicle owners, me. The blockchain which will be used to provide this capability should be a public permission blockchain. Anybody should not be allowed to go and manipulate, only mechanics who work on the cars, they should be allowed to send an invoice, enter that invoice into the blockchain. People who get service like me, we should be allowed to authorize that, yes, I got the service done by this mechanic in Jabalpur with predetermined smart contracts. The moment I approve, for example, I take the car to the mechanic, he puts an estimate onto the blockchain. I approve, saying, okay, this is a good estimate, go ahead. Once he does, then he goes ahead and does the work, then I will go and approve again that the work was done as per the estimate. Immediately some amount of money will be deducted from my bank account, deposited into the account of the mechanic, and at any point I as a car owner know what is being charged to me, who is charging it and how much. The mechanic knows that once he gets the work, where is his money coming from and how much, and the company running knows exactly what are the transactions happening. In case of any dispute, it can mediate. There will be no incentive for mining as such, there is an incentive for verification, minor details. So, even at the business school level, we can do projects, simple projects to set up a network of auto mechanics and make it transparent and workable across the country using blockchain. So, that in brief is a summary introduction to blockchain, what it is, its capabilities, what it can do, what is that it does differently, and how can we leverage those capabilities to do things differently, what are the benefits, what are the advantages we get, and what is its potential for disrupting entire industries. This completes lecture 1, we will now go on to the next lecture.